Me and my girlfriend have temporarily escaped the cold British winter for the warm Turkish sun, and I've spent a fair bit of time here laying on my back and listening to music, so I thought I'd let you know what I've been listening to. As you'll see, it's a pretty random list, and I've made these videos at various places around this resort and taken some nice photos along the way too. I really enjoyed listening to Synchronicity by The Police today. I haven't heard that in its entirety for some time, so that was an enjoyable listen, and I stopped short of saying that it's a great album, but it's certainly a very good one. I mean, the three big hit singles speak for themselves really, and I don't tire of hearing them. Every Breath You Take is an amazing song and quite simply one of the best and most successful songs ever written. I really like King of Pain and really enjoy the guitar solo in that, and the shimmering, enchanting beauty of Wrapped Around Your Finger is possibly my pick of the bunch here. There's some great rhymes in that song. Mephistopheles is not your name, I know what you're up to just the same. And Devil on the Deep Blue Sea behind me. That's such a great song, a huge favourite of mine. Parts 1 and 2 of the title track that bookend the first side of the record are both good and very good, punchy rockers. And I really like the quiet atmospherics of Walking in Your Footsteps. That too is a really good song, as is Oh My God, which features a great vocal by Sting. And I really like the wayward, jazzy ending to that song. Elsewhere, Miss Gradenko is rather slight but catchy, a song I like. But Mother, with that deliberately horrible vocal from Andy Summers, that song is the stuff of nightmares, and if I'm honest, it really should have been left on the cutting room floor. And of course the album ends with the sparse but oh so lovely Tea in the Sahara, which has some great bass on it and is a really nice production piece. So, a very good album and always an enjoyable listen. It's probably my favourite Police album, and of course it was the Police's final album and largely sees them signing off in style. And I'm a big fan of this album. The Eagles' Long Road Out of Eden from 2007. Sadly, no Don Felder here, but Don Henley, Glenn Fry, Joe Walsh and Timothy B. Schmidt, as well as a host of session musicians and additional writers, all contribute to this superbly crafted 20-song double album. And this album breaks new ground for the band too. It's stylistically very diverse, and with the length of the songs too. You've got the short and sweet, lovely opener, No More Walks in the Wood, and then you've got the epic, slow-burning title track, which is 10 minutes plus and a fantastic track, which also features a blistering guitar solo from Joe Walsh and some excellent drumming from Don Henley. You've got the AOR hit singles with the familiar sounding How Long and the fabulous Busy Being Fabulous, which has a great chorus and is a big Eagles favourite of mine. Timothy B. Schmidt has a lovely way with the vocal for a ballad, and that's showcased here on songs like I Don't Want to Hear Anymore and Do Something, which he sings beautifully. Don Henley is on top songwriting form here with the stunning Waiting in the Weeds, which is an amazing piece of writing, both musically and lyrically. It's so rich in melody and very poetic too. And that's followed by Glenn Fry's lovely No More Cloudy Days, which has a lovely saxophone solo at the end too. And Joe Walsh also comes up with the songwriting goods too, with a great song in Last Good Time in Town, which is a rather amusing ode to staying at home and doing very little. And that song features a great bass line as well as some stellar lead guitar playing. Elsewhere, I really like the punchy rockers like Somebody, Business as Usual and Frail Grasp on the Big Picture, which adds some bite to the proceedings here. And the Eagles are well known for their perfectionist approach to recording, and this is a meticulously produced record, and the vocal arrangements are superb as always, which you've come to expect from the Eagles, but the harmonies are particularly special and truly wonderful throughout. As I say, there's lots of different styles here, and that keeps things interesting, and lots of different themes covered in the songs too. Love, loss, the environment, greed, power, corruption. Make no mistake, this is a serious body of work and always a thoroughly enjoyable listen. Today's album somehow chose me There I was, laying on the sunbed, enjoying the sun and watching Scott's latest video from his channel, The Prog Corner. And I don't know if my girlfriend knocked my phone or what happened, but that video was somehow cut short and I was thrust into a song from one of the most polarising albums ever. Now, this album got played once when I bought it 10 or 15 years ago, but in the last couple of years I've begun to revisit it, and I can at least tell you now that I've got 4 or 5 favourites from the album. Anyway, I'm a sucker for punishment, so I skipped back to the start of the album, took a deep breath and thought I'd give it another go for some reason. This album is loud, abrasive, maddening. It's absolutely bonkers. It is Captain Beefheart and his magic band with Trout Mask Replica from 1969. Yes, the Mad Captain and his mad band see fit to drag us kicking and screaming through this sprawling 80+ minutes mess with off-kilter rhythms and a sloppy cacophony of sounds. Anyway, this is undoubtedly a tough, really tough listen. It's not for the faint-hearted, but I do enjoy some of it, and today I did enjoy listening to When Big Joan Sets Up. Her hands are too small, her head's like a ball. She's too fat to go out in the daylight, so she rolls around all night. And Ella Guru with that slightly demented alien voice that comes in on the chorus. Yes, we do get a chorus here. I like that. Ella Guru. I always enjoy Frownlands, which is the first song on the album. It's obviously a bit mad and throws you in at the deep end if you're a new listener, but it's all okay at first. You think, what's this? This is a bit mad, a bit, crazy, but obviously you're a bit intrigued. And I quite enjoy Moonlight on Vermont. That's a good song too. And Moonlight on Vermont, Frownlands and Ella Guru are all on the first side of the record, which I think is the best of the 4 sides. Of course, I was just listening to it on my phone today. But crikey, you don't half get dragged through this mudslide of noise if it isn't the scratchy guitars running rings around your ears. It's that horrid saxophone playing. But what else did I enjoy today? I quite enjoyed Ant-Man B. That's pretty cool. Ant-Man B. China Pig is alright. That's kind of got this rustic, bluesy guitar sound, very lo-fi. That's enjoyable, but even that goes on a little bit too long, I think. I don't really care for the Captain's poetry, if you call it that, on those spoken word tracks. They're a bit nonsensical, but sometimes amusing. Did I enjoy listening to this album today? I don't know. I never know. I like it as much as I dislike it, I think. But I always feel like I've achieved something when I get to the end of the album, and somewhat relieved too. Trout Mask Replica. There ain't nothing like it. It's terrible. Today's album of the day goes to The Clash, Combat Rock, which I haven't heard for a couple of years, but this happens when you've got thousands of albums. But this is an album that I like a lot, and it certainly kicks off in style with the rockabilly stomper, Know Your Rights. That's how you start an album. Know your rights, all 3 of them. You have the right not to be killed, the right to food money, and the right to free speech, as long as you're not dumb enough to actually try it. Car jamming is sensational. I woke up with that song in my head this morning, hence me picking this album to play. I love Topper Headon's choppy drums that really drive that song. It's probably my favourite song on the album. Rock the Casbah would be high on my list of favourite Clash songs. So many great hooks in that song. Big favourite of mine. Should I Stay or Should I Go? Less so, but still a great song. Straight to Hell is a great song and a really cool groove. In fact, side 1 of the album is near perfect. I even like Paul Simonon's rant on Red Angel Dragnet, which also features some great bass playing from him. Side 2 of the album, if you're listening on vinyl, is all over the shop. A beautiful mess. Atom Tan is the shortest song here, but that's a decent melody, a nice little tune. As is Inoculated City, that's very catchy, lovely vocal melody. I always like to hear Mick Jones sing. He often comes up with the goods, as he does here. Ghetto Defendant is a highlight for me. The drums and bass are locked into a super cool groove here. I love the way that it shifts tempos, the little harmonica licks here and there. Fantastic song. It's not all good. Overpowered by Funk is okay. I just don't need nearly 5 minutes of it. Sean Flynn is an interesting track. It has a bit of a tribal feel to it, also a bit jazzy, dare I say it. It sounds like early world music to me. The Clash as you've never heard them before. And the closing track, Death is a Star, is a little bit odd too. Part spoken word, part lullaby. I'm not sure what it is. It's interesting though. This album is so concerned with its lyrical content that I think across side 2 it loses its way a bit. But it's so eclectic, and that's one of the great things about it. There's so much information to absorb across this album. The Clash's Last Great Statement. So I was out there on the beach today listening to the Beach Boys and their lo-fi, homespun and slightly confusing album from 1967, Smiley Smile. I'm kind of rediscovering this album because it's so slight and lacking in any real depth that I'd put it on the shelf for years, but I've listened to it a few times in this last year or so, and I rather like its creative spirit. First off, what it has got going for it is 2 absolute Beach Boys classics in Heroes and Villains and Good Vibrations. Incredible compositions. The vocal arrangements, the harmonies, the innate musicality of those songs make them an absolute pleasure to listen to every single time. But after that, well, it's all a bit fragmented. But that's not to say it's not good, because, well, I like it. Vegetables is so goofy, quirky and funny, as displayed with the chomping of vegetables working as the rhythm for the song. And of course, the made-up word, table vegger. More quirkiness is evident on the playful She's Going Bold, which, after that lovely gentle percussive opening, it takes a rather strange turn with those spooky, sped-up vocals. You're too late, mama, ain't nothing upside your head. And talking of spooky, that slow vocal arrangement on wind chimes is too. Fall Breaks and Back to Winter has a haunting, droning vocal arrangement, but that's a really cool track and a great idea. I love that. Laughter breaks out over Little Pad, and this is minimalist, quite lush and a dreamy little thing. I really enjoyed hearing that today. With Me Tonight is nice, a good vocal arrangement again with nice harmonies, but it's a bit repetitive, and I'm sure that there's a better song in there somewhere. Getting Hungry is much better. That organ that drives the song is a cool groove. But when I hear this song, again, I'm always left with the feeling that this really should have been made into something more. Wonderful is possibly fleshed out a little bit more. Again, a nice song, and then Whistling closes the album. Decent melody, nice vocals again, and short and sweet, and kind of sums up the album really. At just over 27 minutes long, there's no excuse really for not listening to this album as a whole, and I think that that's how it's best appreciated. And I enjoyed listening to this today, as inconsequential as it may be. I don't know how many times I've listened to this album, but clearly not enough, because today it was time to listen to Thriller by Michael Jackson again. It is the best-selling album of all time, and it is one of my top 20 albums of all time. Yeah, I'm pretty settled with that. The disco, dance floor, funk and groove-laden bass lines that drive Wanna Be Starting Something, Superb and Baby Be Mine, even better, are so irresistibly good. I can never tire of hearing those songs. They are supremely hooktastic. The title track is fantastic with another seriously cool bass line. That is so good. Billie Jean is one of the most popular pop songs ever recorded. And how about Beat It for a rock song with one of the best rock guitar solos of all time, played by none other than Eddie Van Halen. That could well be my favourite Michael Jackson song of all time. I never tire of hearing that one. Human Nature would also be high up on my favourite Michael Jackson songs list. His vocal on that is quite possibly my favourite. Absolutely beautiful. The way he breathes into the vocal, it's quite a performance. Similarly gorgeous is the closing track, The Lady of My Life, which is a soothing ballad which I really like. Elsewhere, Pretty Young Thing is great fun, funky, catchy and utterly infectious. And the superb duet with Paul McCartney on The Girl Is Mine, a song I've always loved and I still love hearing it now. Those soaring harmonies when they sing, So Come and Go With Me, Two on the Town, so great. These songs are absolutely timeless. There are few albums as perfectly crafted and perfectly produced as Thriller is. It's a perfect pop album. For me, it's Jacko at his best, and when Jacko's at his best, then not much comes close really. By far and away the best album I've heard all holiday. So that's what I listen to on my holidays. We're going home tomorrow, but I notice I've still got a few quid left, so I'm looking forward to getting back home and going record shopping. As always, thanks for stopping by and watching this video. Please leave any thoughts and comments on those albums down below, and I'll see you next time.